In this problem, page 435, number 16, they give us an equation in general form. So this is the equation of a hyperbola, but the first thing we have to do is we have to put it into standard form. So we grouped the x and the y terms together. As a first step, bring your constant over to the right. And now we'll tackle the x term. So the x term is, you'll factor out a 9. So this is a coefficient of 1. And then you look at the -2, you take half of it and you square it. That gives you a 1. So that's going to give you a perfect square here. And then you have to compensate on the other side because with the parentheses you really added a 9 to the left side of the equation, so add a 9 to the right. So now this is a perfect square, x minus 1 squared. Okay, let's go to the y term. So the y term is, don't work with the negative on the y, factor that out. So now the coefficient here also is 1. And now you're going to complete the square. So 6 divided by 2 is 3, squared is 9. So you added a 9 to the left side. But considering the negative in the parentheses, you really added a -9 to the left side. So that's why you have to add a -9 to the right also. So this is now a perfect square. It's y plus 3 squared, and this simplifies to 9. So we completed the square, and now we want to put this into standard form. You just divide by 9. So if you divide by 9, you'll get your standard form. Once you have this, pretty much you have everything you need now to answer the question. And they wanted to know, what is the center? Well, the center is 1, -3. What is the focus? The focus, well, you have to calculate c, and c is the square root of a plus the square root of b. That's c squared. So c is the square root of 10. So now we know that this parabola opens up east-west, right? And so we're going to add the focus, add c to the x part of your center. So it'll be 1 minus the square root of 10 and 1 plus the square root of 10. So if we want to look at the graph of this, it'll look something like this, right? So the parabola, the hyperbola opens east-west, and you have all your points. Just want to look at one more thing, right? One more thing. They didn't ask for this, but I'd like to look, how would you calculate the asymptotes? So the asymptotes are going to be a linear equation, and it's always going to be the slope of this line is always going to be the y term over the x term. So that's 3 over 1, right? So you always have to be careful. Although we always call this a and b square, you have to be careful about the slope. Slope is always the numerator is always the term under the y. So it's 3x plus b and minus 3x plus b. Well, you have a point, you have a center. So if you plug in the center into those two equations, you should get your asymptotes.